Alrighty, guys, welcome back to the Identity Project. This time I have a very special guest, my favorite Canadian, Laura Poburan. How are you?
I'm awesome. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know what? As I was saying that, I just realized that my chiropractor, he's also Canadian, and
Oh
he's gonna listen
shit.
to this. He's gonna be like, "Oh,
Sorry, man.
favorite female Canadian." How about that?
I'll take it. I'll take it for sure.
So what's going on? How are you?
I'm freezing. It's like minus 35 here right now. It's so cold, Justin. So I'm hibernating in my little office and podcasting and working on a course and yeah, just keeping my head down and out of the cold for sure this week.
Yeah, man, I can't even wrap my head around that. I was running on Instagram like after the gym a few mornings ago, and it was like definitely not that cold. Not
No, I
like about
commented on
40
that
degrees.
story.
I
Yeah,
know,
you were
I
in a
know.
tank top. I'm like, okay, shush. It is not cold.
I think it was cold for me because I was wearing a tank top, maybe.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
um, well, Laura, so what we like to do on this podcast with all the guests that we have on, and really like I think something that has become like one of my favorite things to do is just dive into people's story.
Cool.
Like learn more about them. How did you get to where you are today? And really just trying to share stories that inspire others to go out there and live their best life. So I'm
I
so
love it.
excited to dive into yours.
Yay, awesome. Oh man, okay. Wow, where do I start? I'm gonna like rewind 15 years probably. Um, Landon and we've been together for 12 years or so. Oh God. You know when you like are together for a really long time and you completely lose track? I always forget how long we've been together and he does too, so it's fine because we both do. But I was going,
Alex does the remembering for us. I'm not that good, but yeah,
oh,
she's got a good memory.
as long as she understands when you don't remember, because like I'm horrible with dates. Anywho, I was going to university for to become a dietitian actually, and I ended up hating it, Justin. I totally hated it, and so I switched directions kind of midway through my degree and started going to the kinesiology route instead, and I minored in nutrition. So I ended up graduating with a kinesiology degree, and took that and got my exercise physiology certification afterwards. And I was convinced that I wanted to work with chronic populations. So like people with obesity or chronic heart disease or whatever, and help them get healthier or rehab through exercise. Okay, so I did my practicum at the cardiac rehab clinic here in Edmonton and loved it, fell in love with it. It's like, yes, this is for me. And then there were no jobs. There was nothing. I was on wait lists. I was like checking shit all the time online after I graduated and there was nothing. And so I started personal training in the meantime, just to kind of pay some bills because Landon had been supporting me for my entire university career. So I was like, okay, I'm not working. I'm out of school. I need to do something to contribute to this relationship. We were living together, but not married yet. So I started personal training for this dude in Edmonton and I ended up loving it. And I never actually went back to the clinical population. So I ended up working with just general population people, crushing them in boot camps and just kind of going through the motions. You know, I liked the connection with people, but I didn't love working for somebody else, you know, and going by their rules and following how they wanted me to train people or how they wanted me to interact with them. So Landon actually ended up switching careers and started training with me for this guy. And he was great. He treated us so, so well. But we decided to go out on our own after a year and we opened our own gym. It was this cute little studio and it was just the two of us. And we would, you know, come in at 5 a.m. and work out the two of us. And then we'd have a full day of clients. And it was just like we opened and we had a squat rack, a bar, like dumbbells from 5 till 20. And I think we had a TRX. We splurged for the TRX, right? It was like this dinky little place, but I loved it. And we had such a fun little community there. It was so awesome. And we grew that for between 4 and 5 years. And then the last year, we decided we wanted to expand. We're like, okay, more of a good thing. right? We wanted to grow our community. We wanted to grow a team. We didn't want it just to be us anymore. Because like, I don't know if there's any entrepreneurs listening to this podcast, when it's just you, it's really hard, right? And it's really scary because if you go away on vacation, you close the doors, right? You don't bring in any money, especially in a brick and mortar space. We didn't have online at that time, right? That wasn't a part of our business. And so we grew, we expanded, we brought on a team. We had a team of 5 under us eventually. We had a 6,000 square foot gym. We imported equipment from the UK, from Germany, from all over the US. We had the best shit in there. It was like gorgeous. I wish all of you would have been able to come out and see it. It was so nice. Wow. But we ended up hating it, Justin. We hated it. We grew this massive business, and from the outside, it looked like we were just crushing it, you know. From the inside, no one understood that our overhead was like $35,000. You know, we weren't paying ourselves, and we were killing ourselves. We were up at 4:30 in the morning every day. I remember near the end, we would get up at 4:30 and we started meditating. And we actually got up earlier to meditate and to like do our gratitude practice and everything, because that really, it helped us stay connected to each other in a time that was really, really stressful for us. And it helped ground us for the day, right? Because we didn't want to go to work. We were exhausted. And I remember just sitting on the couch and crying like every morning. Like, I don't want to do it anymore. I'm so tired. I don't care. Like, I just want to stop. But we were so stuck. We were just like rock bottom stuck, right? We had this massive loan. We had this team that was depending on us. We had to put food on their tables, right? One of them was like having a baby, and it was crazy stressful. So anyways, we kept going like that for months and months and months. And we had mentors, and we had really hard conversations. And eventually we decided to close. And it was the absolute lowest point. You know, it was so hard for us to admit that we had failed at this, and to admit that this isn't what we wanted anymore. You know, I remember driving to the gym one day with London, and I just turned to him. I was like, I don't want to own a gym anymore. Like this, I'm done. And it took him a little bit longer to get there. If you haven't read or heard Extreme Ownership yet, anybody listening, you definitely need to listen to that. That's what opened Landon's eyes to what we needed to do. You know, we needed to take ownership of the fact that it's okay. You know, we don't have to live our lives for other people only. We're allowed to put ourselves first and make a choice that is only popular in our eyes and for nobody else. You know, like closing that gym, Justin, we broke up a massive community. Like everyone just scattered all over the city to all these different gyms. It was such a family environment there. Like everybody knew each other. Everyone came just for that. Like it was just a gym, you know. It was a beautiful gym, but it was just a gym. It was the community, and it was us. And so there was a really big, it was almost like losing a child, you know, and I can't, you know, equate that to that because that's completely different, but it was a major grieving process we went through. And this was only about 5 months ago that this happened. We closed our gym. I was working with Jason already at the time, and we decided to shift online, and we started growing our online nutrition business, and it rejuvenated me. You know, I found my passion for it again. We almost left the industry completely, actually. We almost completely just ditched the industry and decided to do something else because we were just so done with it. But I think when you get to a place where you're just so emotionally drained, and this I think is true for so many different areas of people's lives, it's hard to understand or see clearly what you're really passionate about and what does really make you happy, because you can't, you know, you're so stuck and so low. So pulling yourself out of that place, however you have to, for us, it was a big decision of closing the gym, you know, but for someone else, it could be leaving a toxic relationship or whatever, right? That's what I needed to be able to say, okay, I do actually want to help people, just not in the way I was before, you know, and that's okay. And so we opened our online business, and it's thriving. It's amazing. I had a team, and I decided that I want to go at it solo, you know, like I just want to be a lone wolf and do this thing and build it the way I want and work with clients the way I want, and not worry about that so much, right? So now I'm working on developing a course to help thousands of women, not just my one-on-one clients. And I'm really, really excited about that. So in terms of business, that's my story. But in terms of the direction that the way I coach my clients, that comes back to like how I felt about myself. And it wasn't until maybe in the last year even that I really allowed myself or gave myself permission to honor what made me happy, what really fulfilled me. You know, I lived my whole life people pleasing others or building my business for others or acting a certain way for others, you know, even like way back when I went on my first diet, you know, it was because I thought I was supposed to look a certain way or behave a certain way or show up a certain way, you know, or because it was cool. I wanted to fit in. I wanted to be skinny. And then like, I just kept doing that for years and years and years. And I remember the first time Landon told me I needed to eat protein. He bought me this female protein powder. I'm like, what the F is that? Am I allowed to swear on this podcast? What the fuck is this? Like, it's just protein powder that's 5 times more expensive because it's for women, like whatever that is, right? But that made me feel better about it. So I was so scared to not be what everyone thought I should be, that I just like did whatever I had to fit the mold, right? And so in the last year, ever since deciding to close the gym, it's been this whole big transformation for me. I don't fit the mold anymore. I do what I want. I say what I want. I work with who I want. I build my business how I want. And I don't apologize for it anymore. I was the queen of, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so like, do you know what I mean? Just people pleaser to the max. So yeah, now I live life on my terms. And if you don't like it, that's totally okay with me.
The have it all lifestyle, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes. Yes.
Wow. That's quite the story.
Yeah.
So I want to dig into, I mean, obviously, like, you know, you're completely different than before, right?
Yeah.
Like, you've obviously had to overcome a lot of adversity to get to where you are today. And then now you're able to empower other women. You work with mainly women, right?
Yeah, I have a few fellows I work with. I'm not really sure how they slipped into they want to have it all too.
Hey,
Mostly women.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. But man, it's just such an amazing story. I mean, I always think back to my mom and I love her to death, but like she was definitely a very big motivator for me in terms of like getting into the field, because as soon as I just kind of started to see things and figure out things, like I really wanted to help her. And I mean, even to this day, I haven't necessarily gotten to that point. And so I think by not being able to help her, like it really motivated me to go out and help others. And so I mean, I had a client call today with somebody, and she reminds me of my mom. It's so funny, but I'm coaching her in nutrition, so it's almost like
Aww.
I'm coaching my mom. But it's so I don't know. It's just that was a big motivator for me, and I think you being able to empower women like you do and help them overcome a lot of these struggles that, I mean, gosh, like I see on a daily basis. Like we at iCoach Nutrition, I mean, we work with mostly women. As well, I would say. I mean, we definitely work with men too, but I would say most of the clients are women. And I just, with my wife that's pregnant now and seeing my mom, it's like, man, like the things that women go through and they struggle with, like a lot of people don't know necessarily unless they're behind the scenes and coaching them.
No, we are so good at wearing masks and fitting into a role. Like it's crazy. That's honestly, Justin, my favorite part about this job is getting women to peel back those layers and say things out loud that they haven't said to anyone before because they didn't even realize that it was necessarily there lurking under the surface, right? They didn't even realize that that's why they are where they are right now. And it always comes back to, 9 times out of 10, being someone that you think you should be, right? Or trying to fit that role rather than just looking around and asking yourself, okay, what would actually make me happy here? And then giving yourself permission to actually do that or say that thing or make that choice, right? It's crazy. And I think it's a lot of, social media is huge now, right? The influence that social media has on all of us, it's crazy. We're all like comparing ourselves to everyone else's version of perfect, and it's a recipe for disaster. So women especially are just really good at wearing all of those hats, and then over time, I think we start to actually believe it. And I think that's where it's dangerous, right? We wear these masks for so long and we tell ourselves these things for so long that it just becomes who we are. But it's not really deep down, right? And I think that's where a lot of behaviors around food come into play, because they're coping with this void that's there, but they have no idea why.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I completely agree. And I think, one thing that you just said that is so incredibly powerful is that the things that we tell ourselves, we eventually start to believe.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever you did to get yourself to where you are now, you can also reverse that by telling yourself things that, maybe you actually don't believe in the moment, but like, as you continue to say them, as you write them down and see Post-it notes all over the place to remind you, you truly will start to believe it. And so I'm a big believer in that.
I totally agree. It's so funny you say that, because that's one of the biggest strategies I use with my girls, is daily intentions. Who do you want to show up as today? And it's not necessarily rooted in being perfect today or making really good choices today. It's just, how do you want to feel today? How do you want to behave today? Do you want to be confident? Do you want to be brave? Do you want to be grounded? Do you want to be resourceful? What do you want to be? And then come back to that intention over and over and over. I'll have my girls set little reminders on their phone so that they don't have to consciously think about it. It just pops up 4 or 5 times a day and reminds them of their intention. And it regrounds them, and it gives them a chance to just go, oh yeah, okay, be confident. I can be confident. I'm allowed to be confident. I don't have to be a certain size to be confident, right?
Yeah.
I think that's really powerful.
I love that. I think that's a great idea. Yeah. I mean, I think that just the more that you can see it, and that's why, obviously you as well, we're such big believers in coaching, because, we obviously work with Jason, who's our business coach, and how many times do we have conversations with him about stuff that's not even really related to our business? It's just us in our own head, right?
Yeah,
self-sabotage. And so
constantly.
Yeah, I'm such a big believer in everybody needing a coach, because whether it's a weekly call or bi-monthly or whatever it is, it's we really do look forward to being able to talk to somebody, because for a lot of people, that is what they're looking for, is they need somebody to have a relationship, to be able to talk about things that maybe they don't have anybody else to talk to it about.
100%. I think that's so important. And I think when people get lost, that's a big piece that's missing. They just don't have that outsource of not only information back at you or a different perspective back at you, but just an outlet to be able to just unload, right? I think you hit the nail on the head. That's exactly right.
Totally agree. So I want to dive into, I know you started kind of, with school and things like that. I actually want to take you back even farther though.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. I want to take you back, and this is going to be, it's so funny when I do this, because most people don't go that far back, but I want to take you back. So I think people have reference as to who you are now, right? You're a freaking strong, empowered woman, you're crushing it. So what were the influences throughout your life though? Let's take it all the way back to elementary school. So parents, friends, family, whatever it may be. What were those influences that you think kind of shaped you into who you are today?
Okay. Well, my parents definitely, in terms of my compassion, my empathy, and my kindness, I attribute those qualities 100% to them. They always taught, but I also attribute a lot of my perfectionist qualities and my all or nothing and being hard on myself, so good and bad. But, I always say that emotion is my superpower. And I fought it for a lot of years. I'm such an emotional person. I cry when I'm happy. I cry when I'm sad. I cry when I'm mad. I cry when I'm frustrated. I cry so much that Landon doesn't even notice anymore. We're driving somewhere and I get frustrated about something and I cry. And he's doesn't even look at me.
That is so funny. I'm not even gonna lie though. For being a male, especially like, you hear this word of like alpha male or whatever, like
Yeah.
whatever that means. But no, I'm a crybaby. Like I cry. My wife, Alex, she jokes about it all the time. Like I'm super emotional. And like when I get mad, like I remember like even at like my old job, like one time I got like mad, like in a meeting with like my boss, and like I'm just so mad. I like tears start coming out, and I'm like, like stop, but I can't. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I remember like I've never been able to quit a job, even if it was just like this stupid little job, right? And not bawl my face off because I felt like I was disappointing them, right? So, anywho, backing up, my emotion, my empathy, my compassion, definitely from my parents. They are the kindest people. They would do anything for me, and they're just so gentle, right? And soft spoken. Um, and so I attribute that to them 100%. But I was also always driving to impress them in school. I always wanted to be like 95% or greater on every exam. Like I was so hard on myself. And looking back now, it's crazy to think how I still have and battle with those perfectionist tendencies. I talk about it a lot because I think it's so common, but they really were rooted in my childhood, right? And it was always like they were pushing me to do better because they knew I could. It was never to make me feel bad. It was just they knew I had it in me. They knew when I wasn't giving it my all, right? But because of that, I think it just taught me that I had to be perfect all the time. Which is not their fault at all. It's just kind of what happened,
yeah,
right? So, but because of that, I do drive myself really, really hard now. And that's why I've been able to be so successful in such a short period of time is because I don't stop until I achieve what I want to achieve. So I think that is a really good part of that. My sister is like this awesome little hippie girl. She flies by the seat of her pants, like she just is her own person. And in terms of strength, I've always admired her for that. She's always just done what she wanted to do. No apology. She just like lived her own life, stayed in her own lane. She didn't give a shit what anybody else thought. She just did her. Right? And if you didn't like it, she did not care. Right? And so I don't think that I really realized that influenced me as much as I do now. She's still that way. She's crushing it out in Victoria. Like she's doing so great, going to art school. We are so opposite. It's hilarious. She's all tattied up. She had dreadlocks at one point. I have like no tattoos on my body. Like not have a care in the world, right? And I think now I'm starting to step into that in my own way, that strength to be able to empower the woman that I'm working with. Right. And just over the last year, even, like I said, has that really happened for me. But it's always, that inspiration has always been there. I just didn't know what that looked like for me because I knew it wasn't going to look like that. I was never going to be the girl who took off and went to India for 2 months like she did and like slept in hostels and shit. Like that is not me. I like my 5-star resorts and I'm a little bit bougie. But that strength has always been there in her. Right. And I think like those 3 would be my biggest influences as a child. But then I met Landon at a really young age. I met Landon when I was 18. I was graduating high school. And his drive and his determination has completely shaped who I am as an entrepreneur. Like I didn't even know this world existed. I just thought like, okay, you go to college and you get a job and you get married and you have kids. I didn't know this life existed. I didn't know I could create my own life, And so I think I attribute a lot of that strength in me now to him. He has never worked. His first ever job was at Booster Juice when he was like 14 or something. That's literally the only job he's ever worked for somebody else.
wow,
He started his own like computer building business when he was 16. So he's always been that way. I never was. And so he showed me that was possible. And I think he just sort of nurtured that in me because he saw it in me. And now we're able to do this together because of that. So I think that strength definitely now as an adult comes from him in a big, big way. for
Wow.
sure.
That's amazing.
Cool, right?
That's so awesome. Yeah. I mean, I think if I was, I mean, if I was a husband, if I was Landon, hearing my wife say that, I think that's so awesome. That's so powerful. So, y'all are adorable. Um, so what is your, I'm curious, right? Because you didn't know this world, right? Like this entrepreneur world. I mean, I didn't, I mean, well, I guess I did, which is interesting because my dad, he worked for somebody else, but he also had his own business. So I guess he's like a entrepreneur, but not
Yeah.
kidding. But what are your parents? So knowing that like you obviously like I'm assuming your parents just had like what did they do for career? Was it more like traditional?
Yeah. My mom was a stay-at-home mom,
Okay,
and my dad was really, really high up with IBM.
got it.
So he was like project management, whatever. And this is actually a really great question because I remember my dad staying up all night working on these projects. And right. And he would just grind and push, and he was exhausted, and he would wake up and do it again. And he never complained about it. He loved it, you know? And so it's funny because he wasn't an entrepreneur, but he worked like one, right? Like now I'm up all night working, right? And I'm exhausted, but there's that fire in me and I love it. Like I love what I'm building. I love what I'm doing. So I'm okay with it. But I remember watching him do that thinking, oh my God, wow, I can't believe like how hard he's working. And I think a part of seeing him in that role is what forced me to want to also be that way in what I was doing on my little micro elementary school level, whatever that was, right? But to work hard and to always strive for excellence and not give up until you reach your goals and that sort of thing. So my
Yeah.
dad did that, and my mom was home with us and just took care of us, which was amazing to have.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So does your like what do they think though like now about you and your business and like what you do? You're this online coach. I mean, it's so funny. We've talked about this before, but you know, our
Yeah.
parents, they're like, you know, my mom, she's like, so what like when are you gonna get like a real job? You know, like they'll ask questions like that,
Yeah.
right? What are your what's their opinion on like what you do? I mean, I'm sure obviously you have super supportive parents. They love you and everything that you do, but what are their thoughts on everything?
I love this question because it's like I think everybody in the online space, their parents probably have the exact same reaction. But it's like they don't say what are you like when are you going to get a real job? They know this is my job. They see me happy and they support me, but I can see their eyes sort of glaze over when I explain what I do. Like they don't fully understand what it is that I do. And that's okay. I just like kind of give them the surface level overview and then leave it at that. I try not to dig in too much with it because I know they're not really going to understand, and that's cool. That's totally fine. All I know is they know I'm happy, and I make sure that they know that. I always get they're always telling me don't work too hard, you know, make sure you're resting, da 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 da. And that's lovely. I hate that because like don't tell me what to do. I'm fine. You know what I mean? But they're just always looking out for me. Landon's parents are the same way. Like, they're like, oh, so what's this online? Like, what do you do online? I saw someone said they saw you on Facebook posting something. Like, don't worry about it.
That is
We're making money. That's all that matters. Don't worry about it. We're saving lives and making money. We're fine. Don't worry about it.
that's so funny. Yeah, I mean, I don't even like the real funny part is like when I get around like Thanksgiving and like
Oh,
extended
I know.
family, they're like, I don't know, I don't even know what they think. Not that I really care, but that's awesome.
It was
So
funny. Like at this past Christmas, we had just closed our gym, right? And so being around all our family, that was the topic. Like, oh my God, you closed your business. Like, tell us about it. What happened? So I got to tell that story about 10 bazillion times, which was really
oh,
fun to relive that fresh wound. But that's okay. It's fine. Just people don't understand, and that's okay, right?
right.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, so Laura, I have this question kind of popped into my mind as I was listening to your story. If you took yourself back to high school right now, all right. So it's how old are you now?
I just turned 30.
30. Oh, the big 3-0.
I
Uh-oh.
have gray hairs now, Justin.
Oh, get out of here. Get out of here. Okay, so you're 30 years old now. You get to go have a conversation with 15, 16-year-old Laura. What are your 3 tips or recommendations, or just like, hey, I wish somebody would have told me this?
Worry less what people think. 100% hands down, that's what I would tell myself. I obsessed with it. You know, if someone said something to me about something I was wearing, I would obsess about it. I wouldn't sleep that night. I'm like, oh my God, do they not like me? Like, what did that comment really mean? Da, 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 right? I would drive myself crazy. And I did that all the time for years and years and years. And looking back now, it doesn't fucking matter. Who cares? Right? But in the moment, it was the biggest deal to me. I needed to be loved and accepted by everybody. And I don't know why. So that's what I would tell myself, 100%. And I think that's a huge part of my message now to a lot of the clients that I work with, is just other people's opinions of you don't matter. And they're none of your business. Like, don't pay attention to it. It doesn't affect you at all.
I love that. I love that. Yeah. I mean, I think, so many people will like, we talk about social media, right? Like we sit here and we scroll through Instagram and like we see all these profiles, and I'm guilty of it myself, but like we sit here and we compare ourselves to Gary Vee always says, he's always like, Sally McPants 369 commented, "You suck" on your post, or whatever he always says. But it's just crazy. It's like we have to be really, really careful about, one, like who we trust on social media, who we look at on social media, whose comments we allow to actually affect us. It's very similar to people that sit here and they step onto a scale and they use the scale to dictate whether or not they're going to be happy or whether or not their day is going to be a good day. Like literally people will step on the scale, they'll see the number, they'll be up 2 pounds, and that ruins their whole day,
Yeah.
So it's like we have to be so particular in what external factors we allow to affect us.
100%. I teach a lot about editing your environment, right? And so it's not just the people you come into contact with. It's also the person in your own head, your own voice, that often we need to filter the most and learn to change the relationship we have with her or him, right? And it's your immediate environment. Like, there's so many people who just are bombarded by negative music and negativity on the news and negativity on social media and like there's so much negative. So we need to learn to just either grow a thick skin to it and not let it bother us, or filter it out, get rid of it. Right? It's amazing how when you choose what energies you allow into your space, everything else changes. Absolutely. It's crazy.
I completely agree. Yeah. I mean, 150%, right? Like I talk to people all the time. I'm like, I kind of feel bad because like somebody will say something about the news and I'm like, oh, I didn't know.
Same because, all the time.
Yeah. Like I literally don't watch the news ever. And like a lot of, older people have like literally made comments to me like, oh, that's like really immature. And like, you're not going to be able to like have like adult conversations. Like I've literally had comments like this, and I'm like, oh my
God,
no, I'm choosing to filter out this negativity in the news because, one, like my mind already comes up with enough negative thoughts and I see enough negative things that like really all I'm trying to do is fill my head with as much positivity as I possibly can.
Exactly, Justin. That's so true. That's naive of them to think that your life is defined by what's going on the news. That's crazy.
Well, it's the whole idea of like, I mean, again, they want to be able to talk to their peers at work or whatever it may be about the news or like about, I'm not going into this, but like Democrats and Republicans and politics and like, but like, I mean, literally like people, they want to have those conversations because those are like their environment. That's their group. And if they don't know about this or they can't have conversations about that stuff, then they feel like they're not fitting in. So
That's hilarious. I think too, it's just like, that is a superficial relationship then. You know, if I have to know what's going on in the news to be able to talk to you, then you're not in my tribe, and that's okay. You know, you go talk to your news friends, and I'm going to stay in my little circle and put energy into the people that I actually connect with on a deeper level, right? Those are the relationships I want to foster. So, yeah, I
yeah,
think.
I mean, I 100% agree. I was telling you, I had a conversation, or we were podcasting with Marcus Philly earlier, and he said the same thing. He was like, I mean, I listened, like I was just like blown away, because in high school for him, he figured out at a very, very early age that like he didn't enjoy going and like trying to identify with the cool kids and like go party and all that. Like in high school, he was like, yeah,
Wow.
I don't, that's not for me. And I was
Oh,
like,
I was
wow, like,
definitely trying to fit in with that crowd, you know?
yeah,
Everyone had to like
well,
me, remember?
yeah. I mean, God, that was my life purpose back then, was to
Right?
people to like me. So yeah,
Crazy.
it's crazy. And I think, obviously your mindset develops, right? It's not something that just changes overnight. Like
No.
this is something that takes a really long time, but it goes back to like falling in love with the process of change, like
Mhm.
convincing yourself to fall in love with like the day to day. Because
100%.
if you get caught up in the end game, which you and I both know, like it can sit here and just completely run you into the ground.
100%. Something I always say is try to find happiness in the micro. You know those little moments where you feel happy and there's no real reason why. It's just your day's going well, you're around people you love, you're doing something you like, and you just feel good. Like that's the micro moments, right? Those are the moments that you have to pull out and hang on to, because happiness isn't just, beach vacations and buying fancy clothes and driving cool cars, and like that all looks really cool on Instagram, but the micro moments happen 99% of the time. That 1%, if you're happy then and that's all you're living for, then I'd say you're not living a very happy life at all, right?
100%. I it's so funny with Instagram. I think to myself, I'm like, what if we all could take all of the Instagram accounts that we sit here and we look at and we're like, oh my God, I want to be like them or whatever.
Yeah.
And what if we got to go just take a day into their life behind the scenes?
Oh, 100%. I think about that all the time.
I wonder what would happen to our opinion after we got to be with them for 24 hours.
Well, like I've met people that I idolized for years and years, and their life is totally different than what I would have expected. They're either way more down to earth than I ever thought, which is rad. I love when that happens. Or they're like completely out in left field and they aren't the person I thought they were at all. Right? I remember doing this phone call with this woman, and I'm not going to say her name, but I idolized her for years, Justin, years. I loved her stuff. And I finally got on the phone with her and she was rude. And I was like, oh my God, my heart was broken a little bit. I couldn't believe it. And so I just like deleted her off my Insta and moved on with my life. It's like, wow, there you go. There's the lesson. Don't idolize people you don't know. You don't know what's going on in their life. You don't know who they really are. You're only seeing what they want you to see.
That's right. That's right. Don't put people on a pedestal.
Mm-mm.
I love it. So, Laura, I know we got started a little bit late here, but I want to respect your time. I want to take the next 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever, and like, let's dive into the project that I know you're freaking working your ass off
Oh, wow.
for.
Okay.
And like, let's dive into like 10, 15 minutes. Like, what is this new course you're doing?
Wow. Okay. I don't think I need 10 to 15 minutes for this. It's called the Confidence Catalyst. And I'm really excited about it because a little while ago, I was completely maxed out with my nutrition clients, right? I didn't want to take any more on because I didn't want my quality of coaching to go down for my current clients. And so I felt like I was missing so many people out there. It's like, oh my God, I could help so many more people, but I don't have enough time. So I created an 8-week course, and I essentially, over the last 6 months, have put my brain in this course. So For people who can't afford to work with me one-on-one or who don't want to work with a coach one-on-one, I've set these next 8 weeks up for them to be able to go through the process that I would be coaching someone through. And so it's not perfect because not everyone is able to progress week to week at that rate, right? So I talk a lot in the course about progressing at your own rate and taking time to really dive into each stack if you need to, and they get lifetime access, so it's not going anywhere, so you can, if you want to take 16 weeks to do this 8-week course, I encourage you to. But it's my brain in this course, and I've created all of the different strategies that I use with clients, all of the things that I've created over the years, I've developed handouts for, so that it's guiding people through the process as if I was there with them, coaching them through it, right? So I called it the Confidence Catalyst because my perspective of nutrition and weight loss has just shifted so much in the last, 5 to 6 years, from working with people and helping them through their barriers and getting them the results they want. I've realized that it's not about the weight loss at all. Like, when I talk to my clients after they're done working with me, they don't talk about the weight. They talk about feeling great in their life. They talk about being able to say no to shit they don't want to do anymore. They talk about being happy in their relationships again and feeling more confident and, standing up for what they want to do and making time for themselves and all of these other amazing things that are happening. And so what I've really decided is we need to approach weight loss from the opposite direction. People start weight loss expecting confidence to sort of just happen, or happiness to just happen, or whatever in their life after they reach this certain weight. But really, if you can work on feeling confident in knowing what you should be eating and how you should be eating, if you can work on feeling confident in establishing balance in your life and not feeling guilty about it, or setting boundaries for yourself and not feeling bad for it or making excuses, right? If you can feel confident in your self-worth and knowing what it is that you want to do to make yourself feel happy in your life and what it is you want to accomplish aside from your physical goals, then weight loss just happens. It doesn't have to feel hard. My favorite thing that people almost everybody tells me this, it's hilarious. I should just get them to record it so I can stream it all together. But everyone says in some way, shape, or form, wow, that wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be. I'm like, yeah, because it's not supposed to be, because you were focusing on the wrong shit before. Right? So I sort of flipped the script, and the whole course, the premise is to build confidence within my 4 pillars: nutrition, mindset, balance, and happiness in your life. And then as you come out of that 8 weeks, you will have the confidence you need to now tackle your goals, be them physical, be them mental, emotional, whatever you want to do. Right? So I'm flipping the script on the whole weight loss journey for people with this course. So it's going to be really cool. I have a private Facebook group, so I'll be live in there every week answering questions and engaging with the community. So I'm really very excited about it, actually. It's going to be good.
I love it. That sounds awesome. I think that I just sit here and hopefully as people listen through your journey, right? Obviously you weren't always this way. And so,
No.
I think what you've been able to put, you take your brain from however many years of education and working with clients and being able to put that all into an 8-week course, and then somebody being able to actually take that and find the things maybe you said, maybe it takes longer, but eventually being able to just have that truth and have that peace of mind that look, this is what I need to do to be happy and actually find success in nutrition and fitness and lifestyle. Because I completely agree. Nutrition is not supposed to be as hard as everybody makes it to be. And it's not the client's fault. It's just the fact that it's marketing. I would be confused too if I wasn't in the industry.
Oh my God, Justin. I was Googling yesterday. I love to do this every now and then. I Google things that I think my clients would Google, right? Like how to lose 10 pounds in a week, or how to lose stomach fat in 1 day, or whatever, right? And there are these stupid fucking tips that come up. My favorite one I read yesterday was replace your daily snack with pineapple. What? Why? What is so great about pineapple? You don't even know what their snack is. Maybe they were eating an apple for a snack. What is the difference? Or, you'll have a flat stomach in one day if you drink peppermint tea. Like, oh my God, what? No wonder people are frustrated and confused because they're falling. And this was page 1. This is like the second article down. Like, no wonder. It's not your fault if you're stuck and frustrated and confused and want to give up, because this is the information you're being given. It's crazy.
Wait, so I don't have to drink celery juice every day?
What is that about? I don't even know what that is.
Oh my God. I don't know. It's just, I mean, it's never going to fail, right? Like like the industry, they love to be innovative. I'll give them that positive
Great
term
word.
there. But yeah, I mean, it's just so funny to me. I was talking to a client this morning and they were talking about how, we've been working together like for over a year, but we were just kind of reflecting, and he was like, man, like when I first came to you, like I thought fat was like the worst thing in the world, because he's older, he's like 55 and lived in that low fat era, right?
Right, generational. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he was like, just through the process together, I mean, obviously he knows now that, they're perfectly fine and they're healthy and blah, 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 right? But it's just crazy to see like the shift in people's mindset and how they've been affected for, based off their age and their environment and all of these different kind of factors. But yeah, it's mind blowing to me. It's like low fat era. Now we're in like the low carb era. I mean, what's next? The low protein era? I mean,
yeah, crazy. Probably. Who knows? It's nuts. I love it and I hate it. I love it because when someone comes to me and I'm able to just strip all that bullshit away and give them really basic principles, and they achieve their goals and they feel the happiest they ever have ever, and they can eat and not worry about it, that's the best feeling ever. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, I just simplified your whole life. You're way happier. You can eat pizza and not freak out about it. Like, rad. Go live your life. Have so much fun. But we have a long way to go, because there's just, like you said, it's perpetual. There's new shit coming out all the time that we're fighting against. And really, like, if you're Googling something and it sounds weird, it's probably wrong. You know what I mean? Like, the truth is in the middle. It's not on the ends. The truth is in the basics in the middle. And that's how you're going to be successful, not in the gray zones.
I 100% agree. Yeah. I mean, I think it's the old saying, right? If it sounds too good to be true, it's probably too good to be true.
Yeah. If it makes you say, I wonder if that would actually work, probably won't. It probably won't.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure we could talk all day about all of the lovely nutrition fads and everything that's out there, but
I guess we went on tangents there. Sorry.
Yes. Hey, no, it's all good. It's all good. But Laura, so where can everybody find you, your course, your podcast, your website, all the social medias?
Okay. Yeah, for sure. Will you link those in the notes? Because there's a lot of them. Okay, cool. Yeah. So my podcast is the Have It All podcast. So I'm on there once a week talking about stuff just like this, which is awesome. You can find me on Instagram at Laura Poburan. So Justin, I'll link it down so you can spell my last name properly, but it'll be there. My website is the same, laurapoburan.com. And then the new course that I have coming out is www.thehaveitallifestyle.com.
Nice. I love it.
Find that there. Mm-hmm.
I love it. Well, Laura, thank you so much for taking the time today. I really appreciate it. And stay warm up there in Canada.
I will try. I will stay in my tiny little office for the rest of the week. Thank you so much, Justin, for having me on. This was so fun.